Hello everyone, welcome back to Breakage Barriers. If this is your first time here, my name is Blessing, also known as Lady B. What I do here is talk about culture and human habits. So colonization happened. The entirety of the lifestyle, the value attached to a particular people came tumbling down. Colonization happened and everything completely changed. As this did not happen for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, but for hundreds of years. So the value placed on an entire populace of the brown skinned people, and I have to use that word because that's what colonization has done. Colonization has grouped an entire brown-skinned people and termed them as black. A word that has been taken to affirm the value placed on such group of people. So, blackness, that word was given by the colonizer to this particular group of people. Names that have been given to these particular people has been changed numerous times. As the initial one was the N-word, and it's funny because it's not the people that has been given the derogatory name that had the choice to choose what they want to be called. The name changing still relied on the name giver. The colonizer said, okay, you don't like to be called the N-word? Yeah? Okay, don't worry. We'll change it for something that will make it easier for us to know you from afar. So when you are approaching us, we can see from your physical appearance, we can detect who you are. So we will give you black. Unfortunately, the victim decided to accept the name. And so brown-skinned people around the world, regardless of your skin tone, you're still referred to as black. Even when that person is bettered out of a mixed relationship, for instance, a Caucasian marrying an African, the child from that relationship is still called black. Why do you think this is so? Because there's an inferior connotation attached to it. That's what the word black means. So as we talk about the black mentality today, we are not just talking about the mentality of a specific group of people, but we are talking about the metaphorical meaning of that word black mentality as it affects the brown-skinned people around the world. The black mentality expressed by the brown-skinned people around the world, be you in Africa, Asia, Europe, wherever you live, there's a black mentality that depicts how we see ourselves and how we see the so-called white people. Whiteness, which has a connotation of superiority, and blackness, a connotation of inferiority. So if one happens to be called black, it's just another N-word. The N-word only means a particular group of people is inferior to the other group of people. That's what the N-word, it means poverty, inferiority, less of a value, incapability, alien, and so much derogatory meaning attached to it. So what the effect of colonization has brought over the years up until now, that some brown-skinned or melanated people don't really pay attention to, because it has become more of a culture, is a way of life that we seem to place a higher regard or value when relating to white people. It's a mentality that comes from an unconscious reaction because we were bettered into such way of life until one starts to query why we react that way. And I'm not saying all brown or melanated people, because not all brown or melanated people react this way, but this surely happens amongst brown-skinned or melanated people, or shall we say African people, because of the experience of our ancestors during colonization. There's this culture that has been passed on whereby brown-skinned people see the white people as saviors, as this is systematically embedded in religion, systematically embedded in the cultural values of how we see ourselves, or how we have been taught to see ourselves as human beings, and how we see the white people. A topic which must be consciously addressed so we can be rebetted from this mentality that was taught to our ancestors during colonization, that they are inferior and the white people are more superior. The present day generation have to understand that that type of thinking is a colonized mentality, or another word for it, a black mentality. 2. Another issue is brown-skinned or melanated people or African people treating themselves as less of a value, especially when it comes to customer service, and depending on the individual. Why are brown or melanated African people still caught up with such mentality whereby they see themselves, when it comes to relating with themselves, as inferior, as less of a value, as, oh, this is another brown-skinned person, I can talk to the brown-skinned person however I want, it doesn't really matter, they are used to it, they will understand. But as soon as it comes to relating with a white or Caucasian person, then the demeanor changes and a better service is kind of given to the white or Caucasian person. Why is this mentality still in the community? Why is this mentality still allowed to be practiced? Because there's a continuous side effect of the black mentality, of the colonized mentality, which we need to consciously take ourselves out of, because as humans we are equally of a greater value as that of the white or Caucasian person. 3rd, when you look at Africa at large, and I'm specifically going to stick with that continent, most, not all, there are still some excellent African leaders. For example, so let's not put all the politicians into one box of no-gooders, because they are all in their own way trying to fight back politically on how to move that continent forward. But for the other few African countries, which most people are well aware of, politically, we see that some of the African politicians do not treat their citizens with great value, just like the colonizers treated the Africans during colonization. The same system is still in place. That's why the ordinary African citizens' right is not protected in Africa. And so they believe, just like the colonizers did, they can do whatever they want and get away with it. Although the African people have been liberated, and the countries as well, there's still that systematic colonization that is still taking place right now. The psychological part of it that needs to be addressed as to how we value ourselves, as to how we value the resources, and as to how we relate with one another. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Hope to see you again in the next video. You take care now.